Welcome back to Fold in the Cheese. It is your boy K-Troll on the mic today, and I am joined as always by Penn State survivor himself, Ethan Gelfand. What is happening? He made it. He made it through Penn State.
So the reason why I'm wearing both of these things is to continue some decent mojo. So last week I was also wearing a Penn State sweatshirt and the Survivor buff. You know, we had just wrapped up our NFL Survivor Pick'em, which spectacular. I know this isn't on the scheduled rap sheet. I won our first week of Pick'em. Finally,
NFL he did Pick'em. Finally win. That's true. That is true. We have done an NFL Pigskin Pick'em contest all season long with Kyle Seegert, you and me, and it has been 14 weeks that you have lost or tied every week.
Every week. And that's the thing. I kept saying, it's like every time I would tie, the next week I would then crap the bed because we do skins. It carries over. Anyway, we talked about this before. So yes, I was trying to continue the good mojo. Won it finally, which is crazy because last season, like I crushed and like I did really well, just overall record. And then obviously with the weeks. So just a complete 180, but I finally got off the schneid. I'll take it. I'm good. Just couldn't be shut out. The other reason, obviously is you are still in the dynasty playoffs and I am still in our playoff. You're surviving, man. It's just you survive in advance. Let's just
go. True. Fair. So. That's a fair point. I will say, I thought about changing my pick for Monday Night Football. I told you I was hemming and hawing about Seattle, and I was like, this could be a tough game for Philadelphia. Seattle at home on Monday night.
I was worried about you, but luckily you were 2 behind me, so
I was 2 behind you. It wouldn't have mattered.
But if Kyle had just made the switch just because, then I would have been tied again, and I would have broken everything in my house.
Yeah, he should have just because. I don't know why he didn't. Shame on him. I would have done it. All right, so we've got a jam-packed schedule today. So first and foremost, we got to hit some nonsense with our Christmas plans and Christmas movies and traditions and things like that. But then we're going to get an update on our crappy quarterback bet that we made last week. This was fantastic. We've got a recap of some of our leagues that we are still alive in that you mentioned, alluded to briefly. And then we're going to talk about some players that are star players by name, but you may want to consider benching this week and who you may put in favor of them. So these are the tough decisions in the playoffs, and that's going to be a whole discussion. We'll get to that a little bit later for sure.
We will. So yes, for Christmas, ours is, so we go to my wife's family for Christmas. So we go all the way up to Alpena, up here in the pinky, or no, sorry, not the pinky. I did it wrong.
There it is.
Index finger, all the way up in the corner. And we go, it's a pretty quick, so December 22nd is my dad's birthday. So we stay here for that and we celebrate
Dr. Mark.
Yep, Dr. Mark. And then the next day we'll go up and then we spend that. And then we actually travel back on Christmas Day. So maybe a little unorthodox, but that's just kind of been our tradition the past, 5-6 years or so. We always get a Slurpee at 7-Eleven on the drive home because that's one of the
I like that.
On the drive home. And usually what's nice is up in Alpena, it usually snows a good amount. And so Kirsten's dad constructs this massive sledding hill down this backyard, down the side of the house and down the backyard, which is great for the kids. It's like a luge, especially if it got icy a couple years. You shoot down that thing, kind of almost like the skeleton in the Olympics. So it's a good little time. On Christmas Eve, we invite a lot of her side of the family, and her dad puts on a great game. It's like a combination of Family Feud, like Wheel of Fortune, trivia. It's a great mashup. Some Minute to Win It, and it's
that sounds fun. Me in games.
We're
both into games. So
I actually came up with the game one year because I was like, Brian, I always feel bad. Like you never get to participate because you're always the mastermind. So one year I did it and he got to participate, which I think he appreciated. But now he's just like, no, I love it. I love doing it. So I'm going to keep going. Like, all right, man.
He's the host.
He's the host.
He's the Winkler or whatever that guy's name was. There was always a host named Wink, I think. Or Richard Dawson. Is he kissing all the ladies inappropriately?
That's assault, brother.
Yeah. That sounds really fun. Sounds like a good time. Like a big time up in Michigan. So we'll be heading to St. Louis to go see my parents for pre-Christmas. And we always, even kind of growing up, we've done like a Christmas Eve Christmas for my family most of the time. Yep. Santa always comes Christmas morning, but Christmas Eve has always been a big deal for us. So we'll be doing Christmas Eve with my parents, and then we'll be driving back Monday, Christmas Day as well.
There we
We
go.
drive back to Tennessee, and then we'll go to my wife's parents the next day. So we'll do like a 1-day delayed Christmas presents thing at their house.
But you also celebrated Christmas already with your side, right?
I celebrated Christmas with my extended family, the Troll extended family on my dad's side. So
Got it.
that is like over Thanksgiving we've always done. It's more just like it's a gift exchange, but we called it Christmas in part because we always watched Christmas Vacation and we
Fair.
always had gifts, and so it's kind of like we weren't going to see each other on Christmas, so that was like our makeshift Christmas, and that's kind of how it's just become. So that was not like my family Christmas with my kids and Santa and all that kind of stuff. It's just like extended relatives.
I like it. I like it. So the reason I'm going to my phone is you mentioned, and maybe this is a good transition to favorite Christmas movies, but you mentioned, excuse me, Christmas Vacation. So if I could find this text. Well, we just had our neighborhood Christmas party, which was a blast. It's just pretty ludicrous, the amount of stuff that we get into. We do like a white elephant. It's a really good time. No, of course. Oh, there it is. So one couple in our neighborhood dressed up as the Griswolds from Christmas Vacation. And so they actually reenacted the scene when the cops come through the door and, like
she's got her hand on his crotch.
I don't know if you can see it kind of.
Yes.
So one side is the actual movie and one side was the reenactment over here.
Yes. Fantastic.
It was good.
That is well
probably the highlight of the White Elephant gift exchange was that same neighbor. She created a custom custom Guess Who game board with everyone from the neighborhood in it. So it's pretty spectacular.
Oh,
yeah.
That is badass. That's dedication.
It was pretty baller. She's like,
do I know this neighbor? Do I know this neighbor's name?
You do not. You do not.
Okay. Okay. Wow, that is impressive.
Kudos. Well, I take it back. She took place in our March Madness pool, Rodemaker Way.
Yeah, absolutely. Boom. Yeah, I know neighbors from all kinds of different stuff. Smoke Show Summer, the March Madness pool, BB Savant,
Boom. My dad, BB Savant.
And BB Wiz. Okay, very cool. That's actually awesome. So the Christmas parties in our neighborhood, which we don't go to anymore, or maybe not invited to anymore. I don't know. COVID kind of wrecked the whole thing. We had a whole social network going on in our neighborhood. We did stuff all the time. It got a little too rowdy for me in particular, and kind of said probably not a good scene for me to be. The guys would just hang out and like send the women home with the kids, and like the guys would hang out and just rage until the wee hours of the morning. And you can do that once or twice. You can't do that like every weekend. So it got a little difficult to maintain, but we did always have good parties for New Year's, Christmas, all kinds of stuff. But they usually entailed like New Year's was always like beer pong in the garage. Someone would bring like ghost pepper wings. Someone would bring like some kind of shots. Like, I don't know. There's always kind of like out of control. Never an organized like gift exchange like that. That's good. We did have an ugly sweater party one time, which I got second place in. I had this cat sweater that you press a button and it was like meow 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 meow. And it was like 10 cats screeching. It was awful.
It was awful.
But no, we've had some good traditions in the neighborhood as well. But anymore, it's we've kind of gone our separate ways and done family stuff. But
fair.
So yeah, I'll be in St. Louis and then I'll be coming back Christmas Day, and then we'll do my wife's parents the day after. So we'll have like a 3-day Christmas
extravaganza.
Yeah, it'll be pretty fun.
Love
it. Good times. Christmas movies. We've already kind of hinted on it. Christmas Vacation is an all-time favorite of mine. It has recently had some competition in the last 20 years, honestly, has had some competition from everyone knows my favorite Love Actually. I have already watched Love Actually. We watched it this past weekend, and I don't know. It's just it's a fantastic movie. One of the all-time greats.
Yeah. I mean, not my favorite Christmas movie. It's a very solid movie, but I'm not going to be watching it every Christmas. But I mean, I got to go classic Home Alone. There's just something about the score, and it's more of just kind of the memories of when I watched it. Like, I just can picture me curl up on the couch and putting on that movie, and it'd be snowing outside. And the score, I'm sorry, it's all about the score, like the opening credits. But what's funny to me is that actually when you watch it now, there's actually very little hijinks. It's really not that much hijinks in the actual movie. When they come into the end and the game plan and all that, it's probably only about 10 minutes of actual.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of Home Alone, at least Home Alone 1 in particular is him like grocery shopping or him like
Yeah.
you got like all the chaos of the family and the pizza, and then you got them going to airports and all that kind of stuff. Like it does take up a good chunk of it.
Yeah, it's legit. I bet you if you timed it, it might be a maximum of 15 minutes of the actual him setting it up and then them coming through and getting all tarred and feathered and blowtorched, all that stuff.
I would challenge you that you're probably a little under on that, but the scenes drag out longer. So like in between Marv getting his hair, or no, I guess that's Harry getting his hair torched. In between like that and then Marv like getting stapled in the butt or something, like in between that, it might be like a minute and a half to set that whole scene up. So like if you see it was like start to finish, it's probably like 30 minutes, but 25 maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Let's get a count.
Time it. Check the tape. Run the tape.
Roll the tape back. Roll the tape.
But yeah, you're right. It is not as much about that. I love watching the Home Alone movies with my kids in particular. So like that has crept its way back toward the top, which was one of my favorites as a kid as well. It's moved its way back toward the top because of my kids. And it's so funny. I talked about this last year, I think, about watching my two different kids watch that movie. And I've got my empath, my oldest, who's sitting here watching it going like, oh no, he's hurt. And we're like, they're actors. It's fine. He's like very upset.
This is the best thing I've ever seen.
And then I've got my 6-year-old sociopath who's just like, he's on fire.
He's on fire.
Ever, you know? Like she is dying laughing watching those movies. So we watched Home Alone 2 this year for the first time for the kids, or for my youngest. And so she loved that as well.
True. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah. Well, obviously now Elf is up there and kids love that. My wife loves that. So it's always just kind of, oh, let's watch a Christmas movie, right? Okay. Let's put on Elf. Okay. Yeah. Great movie.
I'll watch it. Yeah. Yep. So your favorite is Home Alone.
Yes.
But we're up to you, and you get to pick a Christmas movie. You're watching Home Alone.
I will watch Home Alone or Die Hard.
Yeah. We debated this last year, and I got a little soft on it, but I have taken a firm stance this year. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. I am taking a firm stance on it.
Boo.
Yeah, I was flip-floppy last year.
I was flip-floppy.
Yeah. I know I was trying to be a crowd pleaser. I mean, I understand both arguments, but it's not a Christmas movie. Sorry, it's just not.
There's a message. They learn things. There's a big teddy bear. I mean, come on.
It's a Christmas party. Ho ho ho! I've got a machine gun.
Ho ho ho!
All right, let's recap our leagues real quick and talk about what you got going on. So you are still in our long-standing league, the one that I made a meteoric run at and then fell completely flat. I won like 5 of 6, and then I started scoring 50 points a week.
The flattest of flats.
The wheels came off.
It was literally a record for probably least amount of points scored in like a 4-week span.
The difference between my highest week and then the next week, was like 150 one week, which was like one of the highest scores all year, and then 50 the next week.
50, like wow. Okay. So yes, I am still alive. Last week I did not get a bye, so I was the 3 seed, had to play the 6. Blake, he got off to a great start, and I was really pissed off because he had Jacoby Myers going Thursday night. Dude catches a touchdown, throws for a touchdown, and I'm just thinking, this is it. This is how I go down because of Jacoby Myers. Then he, keeps it going on Saturday, the first game. T. Higgins, who's been doing nothing all year, 2 touchdowns. Like,
yep,
you gotta be shitting me. But then after that, he was done. Nobody else performed on his team. Everyone on my team performed. And
you got a little lucky, I got to say, because he didn't have Tyreek Hill.
He did not have Tyreek. So in his defense, he did not have Tyreek. But at the end of the day, I ended up winning by 60. So
Tyreek could have scored 60.
You're not wrong. He could have scored 60. So no, I had
you had a killer week.
I had good performances from Josh Allen, from Jahmyr Gibbs. Cooper Kupp showed up. But my big one, and this is who I think we might be talking about maybe in a couple minutes, is who to start, who to sit. My biggest question mark was my 3rd wide receiver. And I have Tyler Lockett, who's been basically my wide receiver 3 most of the season. But then I also have Rashee Rice. So I ended up going with Rashee Rice, which I was very happy with because he ended up with about 24, 25 points. Touchdown, only reliable receiver in KC. So worked out. Tyler Lockett had a dud. So one big, onto the semis against Aaron, who I'm unhappy with because I'm pissed that Drader got the 1 seed. I would much rather play him. His team is in shambles. I don't know how he won the regular season. He got a lot of help. But now Aaron and I are projected even. We're both at like 121 points. I think Drader and Rob are at 100.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Don't you
it
love
just
that
always happens
when the
that way.
championship is really the semifinals? Yeah,
So
that is a
there
bummer.
we are.
That is a bummer. On the flip side, I actually played Drader in the Dynasty League, so I had a pretty heated matchup with him, and I got the same exact thing that happened to you, where he got off to a hot start, and I was so heated. I
You
was
were
so hot
texting
going
the
in.
entire day.
Even-
I'm gonna freaking lose to Drake. This is what happens. The freaking Jarek McKinnon, of course, he gets a touchdown. It's not even Patrick Mahomes.
Jarrett McKinnon threw a touchdown to Rashee Rice, and he has both of them. He had to start both of them this week, and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" I was so mad. I'm getting 5 points from Austin Ekeler, and 1.5 points from Najee Harris, and 3 points from Derrick Henry, and I'm like,
Oh yeah,
I'm going to lose my mind.
Blake also had Najee Harris too, so that didn't.
And this is after I don't want to start Najee Harris. I'm going to start Amari Cooper, and then I was like, maybe I'll start Chuba Hubbard. And people, all the analysts were like, Najee's going to smash. One analyst on a very popular fantasy show called him his start of the week, and I'm just like, okay, fine, I'll give him another run, because there was a period of time where I did ride Najee, and he was under the radar. He was actually pretty good. He's good for touchdowns, whatever. He was so garbage. I was so infuriated. But thank you, dear Lord, baby Jesus, and your golden fleece blanket, Christian McCaffrey, savior of all saviors in fantasy this year. 3 touchdowns, and all of a sudden I was like, thank you, Lord. He gets me up by 10 by going into Monday Night Football, and I'm like, okay, I can live with that. Or Sunday night, I got 6.5, maybe more from Evan Ingram, so I'm up like 16 going into Monday Night Football, and I've got DeAndre Swift versus DK Metcalf. I don't love that because it's a great matchup for DK. Up until the fourth quarter, DK had like 2 points, and I was like, okay, I got this. Got a little nervous there at the end because they started peppering him with targets, and he was catching everything, and I was like, it's happening. It's happening. If he catches a touchdown, I am done.
This is my nightmare.
This is my nightmare, but thankfully it did not happen, and I ended up winning by a comfortable margin, about 10. And so I'm on to the semis as well, and I definitely had the better team. I should have won, but it's just one of those things where you're just like, it's going to happen. I'm going to lose to some. I mean, literally, his team logo is a turd emoji. His team is so garbage. And they were still outperforming everyone. I was like, ah. But here I am. But I've got a lot of start-sit questions, and we're going to get to that in a little bit because
you just got to survive. It doesn't matter if it's pretty or not. You survive.
True. I'm a survivor. Thank you. I appreciate that. I need to put mine on as well. So, yeah, before we get to the start-sit segment that I do want to get to, because there's a lot of questions when it comes to playoffs, I just have to give an update on our crappy quarterback competition. Last week, we talked about all the crappy quarterbacks who would be starting games this week. And I went ahead and, while we were talking, and just made a little spreadsheet of our predictions for how many yards they would pass for. I sent you the picture. I started tracking, and we had 4 of them playing on Thursday, right? Or Saturday or something. It was like the first 3 games of the slate were all
Raiders,
crappy quarterbacks.
Chargers. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, we got a bunch of these here. And I started to notice immediately, I was up 3-1. I was like, oh, I'm doing pretty well. Holy smokes. I absolutely annihilated you in this thing. You got 1 pick correct, and I got all of the other ones. So we had Trubisky. You went 212. I went 165. He ended up in 169 yards. What a call. 4-yard difference.
A call.
You have an asterisk here with Davis Mills, who ended up being Case Keenum. I think they're the same person. I actually think that was Davis Mills in Case Keenum jersey. There's no difference between them. I went 216. You had 184. He went 229. Winner. Gardner Minshew, you said 274. I thought that was way aggressive. I went 223. It was 215. Aiden O'Connell. This one we were both way off on. And O'Connell went nuts. We weren't actually off on the yardage, but 217 for you, 229 for me. He ended at 248 and 4 touchdowns and could have been 500 yards. Drew Lock against the Eagles, Monday Night Football. You said 251. I went lower. 234 is 208. Easton Stick. You went 178. I went 204. It should have been 50, but again, this is garbage time. 50. He got 257. I crushed again. And here's the one he got. Nick Mullins. We were both way off on this one. He went 201. I went 188. It was 303.
Crushed.
Nick Mullins went crazy. Jake Browning, 234 for you, 246 for me. He also crushed 324. That game was a shootout.
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco, 243 for you, 284 for me. He ended up at 374. Flacco went wacko. Tommy DeVito. You went 243 or 234 on this one. I went 218. He ended up at 177.
Because he raised his appearance fee.
Yep, that's right. It was a weird thing. Something with a pizza place. What is that whole thing? He didn't want to show up because they didn't want to pay his fee, or
well, no. Supposedly his agent had made a deal with this pizza place that he'll come on whatever day, and it was for $10,000 where he'll sign autographs, just take pictures with people. So then, after he had a good game against the Packers, supposedly the agent went back to the pizza place like, it's now $20,000, and the pizza place was like, no, and they blasted it on Instagram, and everybody, and Darren Ravelsa caught it, wind of it, and all that. So then, it made him kind of look like a schmuck. But at the end of the day, he did come to the pizza place, and I think it was for $10,000. So
there you go. Good on you, Tommy DeVito. All right, Bailey Zappi, you guessed 220. I said 207. He ended up at 180. Another win for me. And then Zach Wilson got injured, but I added Trevor Simeon's 110 yards. Zach Wilson had 26 yards. For a total of 136. I said 165. You said 207. I absolutely annihilated you in this thing.
Congratulations.
You're not giving me enough credit. You are very dismissive of this.
I am very dismissive of this.
You're very dismissive of this.
If you look at our picks, usually we were only off of each other. Let's see. So Trubisky was the biggest one. Otherwise, 30, 40, like 12. Congrats. You crushed me.
We alternated who went first, so you had an opportunity to go over or under.
I wasn't
by 1 yard. Doesn't matter.
I wasn't playing off your answer. I'd have an answer in my head. So congratulations.
Well, you suck. You suck at this.
You did it,
and I crushed you. 11-1. Boom. Do it. That's the only do it bet of the year. By the way, that was the only do it bet of the year, and I murdered you.
Well done.
Okay. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. I'm running this podcast. Shut up.
Hall of Fame.
I'm in the crappy quarterbacks Hall of Fame. I actually might be in the crappy quarterbacks. Me personally, I might be in the crappy quarterbacks.
At your high school, like, hey, Kimber Troll.
Yeah. Ooh, this guy? Yeah.
You see this plaque?
Yeah, 600 something passing yards. You know it. All right, let's talk about some big name quarterbacks that you may want to look at benching this week. Now, it all depends on your options, of course, what's available on the waiver wire, but quarterbacks are going to be tougher. But receiver and running back, you're probably going to have a lot of options on your team that you're going to be thinking about starting. So, quarterbacks, here's some bigger names, at least some hotter names recently. Matthew Stafford has been super hot. He's playing New Orleans. Tough matchup. Stafford, I think looking back at his matchups, and he's played a couple of really tough matchups, and he's still crushed it. Yeah. He's one I'm probably comfortable still starting.
I'm definitely comfortable starting him, especially with Cooper Kupp finally coming back. I mean, if you look at his past 4 games, fantasy point-wise, he's gotten 31, 29, 29, 23. And he got 29 against Cleveland, who's one of the best defenses.
Yes.
He got 30 against Baltimore, just about, actually, I think the best defense. So, I mean,
they're kind of unstoppable right now. Yeah.
So you ride that. I mean, unless you have your Josh Allen's, Jalen Hurts's, whatever.
Of course.
If not, like, this is your guy.
What about Patrick Mahomes? What about Stafford versus Patrick Mahomes?
I mean, you can't. Oh my. This is where you get cute. About. This is where you get cute, though.
I understand, but Mahomes has been very middling.
He has. Who do the Chiefs have?
They got Vegas.
Oh, you go Mahomes. You go Mahomes. I would go Mahomes in that situation.
Okay. So Jordan Love is one that I mentioned. People have been riding him as well. He's been pretty hot. He's cooled off a little bit lately. I'm not sure if I'm going to trust him. If you got better options, I'd probably look elsewhere. And there are a couple of other options that I'm really interested in. CJ Stroud looks like he's still going to be out this week, actually. So that's a big bummer. But how about these alternatives? Okay. Joe Flacco. 370-something yards. I mean, they're playing Houston, which is like a middle-ish kind of good matchup, actually, for quarterbacks. How about Joe Flacco or Matt Stafford? Are you still going Stafford?
I'd still go Stafford. Again, I think he just has more weapons with Nakua, Cooper Kupp. You still got Kyron Williams having a good year. Higbee's decent. I mean, I know Flacco's got Amari Cooper, who's been hot. David Njoku has as well, but I'd stick with Stafford.
The only difference I would say is that the Rams can run the ball. Kyron Williams is a stud running the ball.
Yes.
Cleveland has had a lot of trouble running the ball recently. Jerome Ford has not been the same. Kareem Hunt.
Terrible.
They got to throw it. They're going to check it.
Yeah.
They're going to check it. But, okay, and how about this one? Baker Mayfield versus Jacksonville. 62 points in those last 2 weeks, and these are in our 6-point touchdown scoring league. 62 points in the last 2 weeks. Baker Mayfield has been on fire.
He's
Chris
been on
Godwin
fire.
looks healthy finally.
You said what? Who's
Chris
healthy?
Godwin finally looks healthy.
Yeah, Chris Godwin does look good. You're saying him versus Matthew Staff?
Yeah.
I'd still stick with
You
Staff.
can't tell me there's better weapons in LA because
No, I'm not. I'm not telling
I
you
think
that.
Evans and Godwin are as good as Cup and Nakua.
I just think Baker is more of a wild card. He can get you those 35, but he can also get you a 12. And I know Stafford was kind of middling in the beginning of the season, but he's coming on like he's slowly got it back up. I just don't trust Baker. He's had a great year, a resurgent year. He's earned another contract for next season. I know he took a gamble on himself. 1 year, $4 million. He won. So, but I gotta stick with Matt. Gotta stick with Matt.
You love Stafford though. That's
like
kind of not fair. You're way into Stafford.
Not fair.
You're way into Stafford.
Way.
Okay, so it's a much better matchup. I will say Jacksonville is the third best matchup for quarterbacks. And that's who Baker's got. New Orleans is the 27th matchup, which is a bottom 5 matchup to a top 3 matchup. That would be worth considering as a tiebreaker, I think.
Okay, so I'm a little annoyed. So why does first of all, Drader's starting Nick Mullins. Okay. He's starting Nick Mullins. His team name is Wake and Baker. He doesn't even have Baker Mayfield.
What?
No.
When did he get rid of Baker? I think he had Baker.
Got rid of him earlier in the year because he is not on his team.
Oh my gosh. That's such a Drader move.
Yeah,
Nick Mullins got Detroit, so that's also a pretty good matchup. They're going to need to shoot it out there. I don't know. Worth considering Nick Mullins, but I'm not ballsy enough to start him over those guys.
So would you take Baker over Matt Stafford since you think I'm biased for whatever reason?
You are biased, but
how am I biased? I'm not a Stafford guy.
You have always loved Stafford. You've always rated him higher than I have ever since he was a Lion. Here's what I'll say about Bake Show and Stafford. The matchup would be a bit of a tiebreaker for me. Let's do a little do-it bet here. The matchup is a bit of a tiebreaker for me. So New Orleans defense is
Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah, New Orleans only against Mike Evans. New Orleans defense is much better than Jacksonville's. So in that regard, I feel like Baker's obviously got a better matchup. Stafford has been beating good defenses too, so he's more consistent. To your point, in the last 5 games, he's been rock solid consistent. So you're going to need a boom week from Bake Show.
Yep.
And I'm just going to say, my opinion, I think Baker has more points. Now, if you want to be more conservative and start Stafford, I understand that in the playoffs. So I'm going to say Baker has more points this week.
Okay, fair. Do it.
Do it.
I say Stafford has more points. Do it.
Okay, let's move on to wide receivers.
Yes.
So Devontae Adams is the first name I thought of because he's coming off a monster week against the Chargers, which was like basically a fluke game.
Yeah.
The whole thing was the fluke game. That was just wild. He's got Kansas City this week. They are shutting down everybody, wide receiver-wise. They are a tough matchup in the secondary.
I mean, they just shut down the Patriots wide receiver core.
I mean, that was impressive.
Actually, they couldn't shut down Hunter Henry. So
tight end. Anyway, do you consider benching Devontae Adams this week? He's had an up and down year.
If I had a comparison of like who, if it's like a
Rashee Rice, on the other side of the ball.
Yes,
that's what I'm talking about. This is a perfect example of this segment. Rashee Rice, who's a rookie, he's been hot lately, but he is a rookie. He's inconsistent, right? And you've got Devontae Adams, and you're in the playoffs in the semifinals.
Yep.
You're going to start Rashee Rice over Devontae Adams.
Yep. Based on Rashee Rice, literally in the past 4 or 5 weeks have just been continually going up. And as we're talking about Mahomes, that's Mahomes' guy. He's besides Kelsey, who's been a little up and down lately. He's the only one he can rely on. He's the only one who can catch a ball, and he's shown it. He's feeding him targets. Jerick McKinnon's feeding him targets.
Jerick McKinnon only has eyes for Rashee Rice.
Yeah. Whereas with Devontae Adams, he take out that game that he had last week, which again, it was for scoring 63 points. He had 2 touchdowns, not 100 yards. That's unfortunately for him, that's a fluke for him. Like that's the outlier. So I got to go with the guy who's on the up, has shown it consistently in the past 4 or 5 weeks.
Yep. And
I hate to bring up bad memories for you, but this was a similar situation when you were in the championship and you had Ezekiel Elliott and Amon-Ra St. Brown his rookie year. All the pundits and experts saying, you got to play Zeke. Amon-Ra had one of the best, and I'm not faulting you at all. I'm just saying Amon-Ra had one of the best second halves of an NFL season, especially for a rookie that basically a Rashee Rice type of rise. And, smart pick is Ezekiel Elliott. You did that. Amon-Ra blew up. Zeke did nothing. And unfortunately, you lost. So this is kind of the same kind of deal.
That's why I wanted to do this today. That's exactly why I wanted to do this, because I don't want to be that guy anymore. And I made a vow after that Amon-Ra pick that I will no longer care what the pundits say and what the analysts say. And I'm gonna do my own analysis. I'm gonna follow my own gut instincts here. I agree with you. I think Rashee Rice is a rock star. I think Mahomes has realized plenty of times this year I cannot throw it to anybody else. I can't trust that they'll catch it. I can't trust that they won't just immediately give it to the other team, that they won't line up off sides on offense, which no one even knew was a thing. Like, I can't trust any of these people.
Turns out that was the same guy in each example.
It actually was always Kadarius Toney. I can't throw a deep ball to you, MVS. I can't throw Justin Watson. He'll bounce it off his chest. Like, I can only throw Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice. And give me Rashee Rice on that all day. I agree with you. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, tough matchup. New Orleans, I mean, I think you got to start them anyway.
Yeah.
But if you've got Rashee Rice, let's say you didn't have to start 3 receivers and you could start Rashee Rice or Cooper Kupp.
Am I also starting Stafford? Because I'm starting Stafford,
it doesn't matter.
I'm putting in Cooper Kupp. Ooh, that's a toughie. Cooper's coming back and Stafford's hot. I got to ride him.
Yeah, Cooper's tougher to guard because he comes out of the slot so much and he's like crossers and stuff. It's not like a true outside receiver. He's going to have different coverages. They find ways to get him the ball. I probably feel good about Cooper. I'd start Rice over Nacua for sure.
Yes, I would do that.
Drake London, someone you cannot trust. I think he had a monster game last week, but you've seen him have zeros or near zeros. Yeah, cannot trust him. He's ranked higher than some of these guys.
It's terrible.
Tyler Boyd's going to be in this week. Jamar Chase is out. Tyler Boyd could have a nice little week. I mean, be on the lookout. T. Higgins should have a good week as well. Yeah. But you can trust him in your championship. Depends on what you got. The other name I'll mention, because I mentioned him last week or week before about who could help you win your league. JSN, game-winning touchdown against the Eagles. Jackson Smith-Njigba, he's a rookie. I don't know. He put up like 14 points. It wasn't like he had like a 30-point monster game, but that is rock solid from a guy who's probably on your waiver wire.
So I'm watching Aaron right now. So he has Keenan Allen, who's listed as questionable. He didn't play last week. It's still up in the air. He didn't practice yesterday. So I'm looking at his bench. I'm like, does he have a wide receiver to put in? He's got JSN. So I'm like, oh, man.
Against Tennessee, they'll give up everything, man. They'll give up everything to receivers.
Yeah. But I remember I played Aaron earlier this week when Keenan Allen had that 50-point game. So I'm like, he's just going to do it against me again.
He's probably going to do it again. Yeah, so JSN I think is a hot name that you should consider. I would definitely start him over Drake London. I would probably start personally. I would start him over Puka Nacua personally.
Oh wow,
Cooper Kupp not. Devontae Adams. That's a toss up for me honestly because I like the matchup way better for JSN and I like the trajectory better. But Devontae Adams is going to have 10 targets, so that's a little tougher. But yeah, Rashee Rice, that's your guy.
It's funny you just say Devontae Adams going to have 10 targets because what was it? Garoppolo's last game where they played the Lions. Devontae Adams technically had like 8.
He had like no catches, right?
But like the targets were terrible.
We're going to Garoppolo targets.
Yeah.
All right. I know we're running past here, but let's hit the running backs real quick.
Yep.
Okay. So tough matchups for running backs. Travis Etienne has got Tampa Bay. Travis Etienne has gotten you there, man. That's a tough one to bench, but he's got Tampa Bay. I'm going to list out these names, all these guys first. Tony Pollard has got Miami. Miami has shut down running backs. Aside from Austin Ekeler week 1.
I'm out on Tony Pollard.
Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears did well against Miami as well. Other than that, they have shut down running backs. Pollard has been better second half of the season. That's a tough matchup. Austin Ekeler versus Buffalo. I'm benching Ekeler for literally
forever.
Your mom. I will bench Austin Ekeler for your mom. Amelie Gelfand's going to get more yards than Austin Ekeler this week. Javonte Williams has got New England. Tough matchup. I don't know if I trust him. He's not looking great. Najee's got the Chargers. Great matchup, but it's Najee.
Are you saying all these compared to an ETN?
No, I'm saying all these are guys I'm thinking about benching.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And probably am benching. And these are all RB 1 or 2 type guys. Okay.
Yep.
Etienne, Pollard, Ekeler, Javonte Williams, Najee Harris. I'm probably benching all these guys if I've got alternatives like Chuba Hubbard. Chuba has gotten fed big time. He's getting 10-plus points in almost every single game. Believe it or not, I would start Chuba Hubbard over, I think, every one of these guys.
The only question for me would be ETN, just because I know he's gotten you there and he has been low the past couple of weeks, but he's of those people you listed. I would have a hard time benching him over a Chuba Hubbard. That'd be the only one.
Okay. I would think long and hard about that one. James Cook has got the Chargers. He has been absolutely on fire. I'm starting James Cook over every single one of those guys.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Crazy to think. I didn't realize he's like 3rd in rushing yards this year.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Yeah, so I think James Cook is on fire. I start him over all those names. I would start Ty Chandler over maybe all those names, especially if Madison doesn't go.
Coming back?
I don't know if Madison's going to be back or not, but Ty Chandler, I watched a lot of that game. That dude is legit. That guy can run, man. He is legit. He is better than Alexander Madison on his own. He is better. He is the best running back they have. He's a rookie. That guy's legit. If Madison doesn't play, it's a tough matchup against Detroit, but I like Ty Chandler over almost all those names. I probably can't bench Pollard or Etienne, but for Ty Chandler, but I would for James Cook for sure. And I would for Chuba, most of those as well. Yeah. And Jalen Warren is the other name. Like Najee is terrible. Jalen Warren, clearly the better running back on that team. Right.
But Pittsburgh's
getting all the passing down work. He's a safe floor guy. He's good for 8 to 12 points no matter what, because he's going to get 4 catches. Right. And if he also has a potential to blow one up because he's got speed and quickness. So I don't hate him as a safe floor option.
I just hate
I would absolutely start him over Najee. I would absolutely start him over Ekeler.
Yeah, Ekeler just crazy. Go from RB1 to RB done. Got him.
Oh, good one.
Got him.
So there you have it. This is a tough playoff decisions. People are going to be starting some random people. They should be starting some random people this week. Yeah. All right.
I mean, case in point, Rashee Rice is dead fast in my starting lineup.
Lock it in. Yeah.
He's locked. So
I've got Ekeler and Najee both benched. I've got Amari Cooper in. I've got Chuba Hubbard in.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about benching Derrick Henry and putting in Jalen Warren. Derrick Henry's another one that I think you gotta. So here's my big question on Henry, because I do need you to weigh in on this.
Yeah.
He's talking about like the sentiment is like, I've got give it all I got for these last 3 games. He's in a contract year. Like, is he going to be back in Tennessee? I got to listen to more local radio and figure out what the talking heads think. Is he going to come back? Everyone here wants him to stay. Everyone here wants him to retire a Titan. He's like very downtrodden. This is the only time I've ever heard him sound like kind of depressed about the situation. It is rough. It is rough. That line is terrible. He cannot get anything going. Like 15 carries for 10 yards kind of shit. Like, it's terrible.
It's bad.
Is he going to come out and light it up? Or is he going to come out and just go away into the pasture?
Who they playing?
They've got Seattle. Yeah.
I think in the last 3 games, he's the dude you can count on who's going to give it everything you want. Even if he's first half is 10 carries for 12 yards, he's just said, just give me the ball. Like,
he'll keep playing. Are the Titans going to lean on Tajay Spears, who I would start this week, by the way, who's getting more points, PPR. He's shown a lot of bursts. They can get him out of space. He's another name that I would start for playoffs that I think you could start over Najee, Javonte, Ekeler. I'd start him over all those guys.
Okay. I would still hold hope for Derrick. I would.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would. Just saying.
Certainly holding hope, that's for sure.
All right, man. Well, hey, good luck in the semis. Who you got? It's not Brett, right? No, because that's in the that'd be in the championship.
No, I've got Frank.
You got
Dog Devil.
Dog Devil himself.
Okay, who I beat the last week of the regular season to get into the playoffs.
That's right. Okay.
Rematch.
Well, good luck in the semis, man. I hear you. I mean, obviously you have some tough subs you got to do, but you got it. I'm going against Aaron. Suck one, Aaron. Uncle Nate.
Aaron.
So hopefully next week you'll be hearing about us previewing our championship matchups. That's what we're hoping for.
That's again, right.
Got to survive.
Got to survive.
So until next time, keep on folding.
Hold it.